Google, AI, Microsoft, Bard, ChatGPT. What do all these words have in common? Text. Now, not in the word. I don't mean literally like in the word. I mean, text is a foundational piece of every word that I just said. I'm not going to get into the mathematical part of it or the research behind it and how it works, etc., etc. But for us, everyday people, business leaders, managers, employees, students, how should we be thinking about this new switch, this new AI paradigm switch that's occurring, where we're seeing the prevalence of these large language models, these generative AI models? How should we be thinking about that? If you enjoy this type of content, please consider subscribing. We'll do more coverage of kind of these articles, but also software projects and coding projects as well. And so feel free to join the team. This is something that we are going to dive into. A lot of think pieces, a lot of ways to think about this stuff, and also action. I'm big on producing and creating and getting things out and building. But I first wanted to start with this article here, because this can help you if you're an artist, if you're work in sales. I think this can be of value to you. So let's dive into it. So before, in the early internet, tools were built on text. Like, that was what the tools were built on, and these tools were built on simple text, not as complex as we do now. It had that same functionality that applied back then applies now as well with AI. And we're gonna get into that. These old tools emphasize the power of composable tools that operate on and modify streams of text. And this philosophy has led to the continued success of text stream programs, which allow for the ease of collaboration and extensibility. But in recent years, with the development of LLMs, or large language models, there's a shifted focus of machine learning researchers towards utilizing general methods that allow models to scale in tandem with the complexity of data. So LLMs can process whole mountains of barely filtered, mostly unedited scrapes of the internet, highlighting the power of text. And so that's all this is saying here, is that the power of text is the most common lever by which mankind works, in which work and computers have been running, businesses and algorithms and different things that make businesses go and services happen. And so text, this is why this is critical to understand, that text is that most common denominator. Here the author talks about how anything can be represented as text. Think about it as chess, right? Where it has the pieces, where the pieces are on the board in its next move. So that's a way of transcribing, playing chess to text. Most things, I would say 95% of things, that's just a random percentage I made up, but mostly 95% of things can be translated into text and have that description of the item and what's going on in the behavior of the item. And so that's what the author is saying here, is that a large language model can play chess. They simply submit a list of potential moves as a text stream and acquire the approval or lack thereof of the AI. And this is also used for programming the behavior of a robot. The text model knows, for example, that finding a sponge before washing the dishes is more reasonable than the other way around, and commands the robot as such. We're transcribing a situation. We're creating this behavior and we're translating it to text to be given to the large language model. And then we're starting to venture into this intellectual avenue. And so now we're starting to see entrepreneurs and engineers use this as well. And this is what this links to, this mem.ai. And it's a self-organizing workspace. And so what it allows one to do is just put the note in there and it'll self-organize and have it personalized for you. The AI curates, tags, and connects different notes. And so just showing that this can be applied to programs and businesses, the same type of thinking. Right now, currently, the author brings up how prompts are very kind of nuanced, right? For instance, I'll show this better with a picture that the author uses. Is that when you generate images with this AI, the image quality dramatically improves if you add Unreal Engine to your prompt. And so this is the Unreal Engine trick, where we give the AI this angel of air, Unreal Engine, and this is what pops up. I want to also go down to where we talk about how prompt engineering also comes in with revenue. And so when we talk about a prompt that uses only 100 characters to get GPT-3 doing the right thing, it's preferable to one that takes 400. So prompt engineers must play a delicate game of asking the model to think well while shortening their intonations. And basically all we're saying here is that they're doing the same method. Prompt engineers are doing the same method where they have kind of a test set and a validated set and are checking to see, does this prompt give the right response? Does this prompt give the right response? In the same way that machine learning engineers are doing. And again, what is the point? What is the theme? This theme of text, of looking at things and the right way to translate this item, to translate your business case, to translate a task into text, to give to the large language model to get the best result for your business. And that's kind of the paradigm switch that's happening and taking place. Talking about this paper, this was the Transformer paper, talking about that and how audacious efforts to command modalities under text. That's what we're trying to get at, where we transform. The example they use is convert text into action on an Excel or Word interface. So for example, let's say you had an Excel spreadsheet and you wanted to see Excel spreadsheet of sales, right? And you wanted to see and you could just type into the Excel, what was the monthly revenue for February, for example, and it would tell you. That's one way of translating a situation into a business case. This is probably one of my most favorite paragraphs of this whole article, and that explicitly describes the point, I think, in my opinion, of the article. Those who truly understand the promise of large language models, prompt engineering, and text as a universal interface are retraining themselves to think in a new way. They start with the question of how any new business process or engineering problem can be represented as a text stream. What is the input? What should the output be? And what series of prompts do we have to run to get there? I'll just give one example. And let's say we're building an application to give the user the highest news or the most relevant news articles to them. One way of doing that is by using large language models. So what we could do is we could have two processes, where one process is it takes a large language model. So let's say we have one large language model that's really good at summarizing news articles. So we take a news article and we put it in the summarizer, where the large language model will summarize the news article. And then we have a second large language model that is really good at categorizing the summary of the news article, that categorizes what it's about, or that categorizes, basically adds a tag to it. And so that's a way of suggesting or building our application, where we feed the news article into the summarizer then feeds it to the categorizer, and now we have kind of a category of the news articles. It could, and there's, again, that's kind of a silly example, but there's different applications of this process, where just in the olden days, where we had grep and we had pipe and these text outputs, we can do the same thing with large language models. Again, this article, I think, is about the perspective that one should have on large language models and kind of the mindset shift. You know, when you look at your day-to-day job, your business, how can we use this code? How can we use this situation? How can we use this task, translate it into text in a proper way, and give it to the correct large language model and get the output that we desire? Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to tune in to other videos of this type as well. Consider subscribing, and we'll dive into a bunch of this stuff and get into some of the technical details as well. So I appreciate you watching, and I'm out.